Yo, what up, everyone? Welcome to the basement. I am Jose.
Lolo, what up?
This is
That
Michael.
we got a special situation going here. We're recording off of low quality today, but we got a guest today, a good friend of ours who we spent some time. We all lived together once upon a time, and today we're talking about racism. Go ahead, introduce yourself, Mike.
My name is Michael Rodriguez.
Woo
Try
woo!
try putting that on your resume and getting a job.
You'll never get a job.
That's true. I do got a job.
Well, you can
That's
watch this.
besides the point. That's besides the point. So I got some books here I want to introduce to you guys. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys read it out there.
Lost them. Finished.
Done. The conspiracy has started.
What does that say?
Kindred.
I recommend these books here. Kindred. I recommend. I mean, this one isn't a racial book, but it's got a really like strong meaning behind it. It's called Doll's House.
Oh, I heard of that.
Man, it's a really good book. And these are essays I've got here from all different sorts of civil rights leaders, activists, slave um, abolitionists, and so it's called Essays by the Siegel Reader. I recommend these books. I just want to put those out there.
Okay.
And also Conceal Carry Home Defense.
That's the one we're all trying to get right now.
You heard? Nah. So, Noel, you start.
Yeah, so Mike thinks that the KKK were right for the past few years, that we should.
Oh, I set myself up for that.
Yes, you did.
Now, I think you would you call yourself a social justice warrior?
No, I am simply a person that am seeking real justice for
Injustice.
everybody. Yeah.
You really. I have to be practical. You think that's possible?
No, not at all. Not at all. Like, for example, like the marijuana issue. It's even impractical for states that have marijuana legalized because under the federal law, it's still illegal.
Yeah.
Now, unless we remove that from a federal level, is the only way we'd see any fairness. And just because it's removed from a federal level, states, have the right to say whether they want it, legalized or illegal. You know what I'm saying? And we
Yeah,
don't have to worry about
but
the federal government.
after I think 2/3 of states make it legal, they can fight for it to be an amendment in the Constitution.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. When we do away with it federally, we can do these things in a way where we don't have to worry, about doing life behind bars because they found some weed on us.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous.
That's interesting because there's particular reasons in my beliefs as to why that'll never happen.
Yeah.
because of the white man.
Because of the white man.
Most
Uh,
likely.
most likely. But before I go into that, let me ask you a question, Mike. You consider yourself a left, right?
Oh, that's how
I'm
this
an
conversation
I'm an
started.
independent.
Independent. Okay.
It means nothing, nigga.
It does mean something. It means I don't want to deal with any of y'all.
That's all it means. It means I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't
That's
have
not
a
true.
choice.
That's I
That's
know
not true.
exactly what I know. It's because of what I know. I claim independence from the winged beast.
Wait. Are you a sovereign citizen?
Sovereign.
That's what you think you are?
There's no sovereignty
World.
in this in this world, yeah, at all. The only person that's sovereign is the Lord.
Do you think
Know
America
that.
has the? You think America is the best country
Do I think America is the best country?
right now, today,
Like in what? We're not.
for us? For us, Puerto Ricans.
For Puerto Ricans, is it the best country? I think Puerto Rico is the best country for Puerto Ricans.
Do you think Puerto Rico's in a good condition for Puerto Ricans?
I
Puerto Ricans
I
are
think
moving
they
to New
should.
York.
I think that's what I'm saying. I think they should, you know, abuse the education system here. But at the end of the day, see, we're American. That's the thing. We're like blacks. We were here forcefully. You know, we were our families were destroyed, pillaged. You know what I'm saying? The same way blacks and you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, my grandma, she's African. You know what I'm saying? Like Puerto Rico is a very mixed continent. You know, I have one grandma that's African and another grandma that's Spaniard. You know what I'm saying? It's it's terrible, man. There's no safe place for us.
So I'm gonna bring it back to the lovely what were we talking about? The
The jail.
no, not jail. I'm gonna bring it back to the I'm gonna bring it back to the marijuana question, as to why the government basically it'll never become something where um it'll become legal. Just that's just not gonna happen. Um, I wish it.
You, do you know why exactly it was there was a prohibition against it?
Yeah, that's actually the image I'm trying to share right now, but I'm not sure I'm going about it the right way. But basically, the reason why it was it was it was
I think it had to do something with paper, right?
no, it had a lot more than with just paper. If you guys look, you guys can see my screen, right?
You just sent me an image.
Right, but look at my screen. You guys can see it, right?
Yeah.
You guys can both see my screen. So these are all the benefits of essentially marijuana's hemp. So these are all the byproducts that are produced from the hemp. So you would imagine that the U.S. government said, "No way, we're gonna allow this thing to be legal when we can make so much more money, right? Doing it using plastic and more harmful chemicals. Um, there's no way we're gonna make this legal when we can make it illegal. Then create this war against drugs, right? Tax all these extra, use the taxpayer dollars to end the war against drug when they were really just taking the hemp and making products for if anything. And then now that it's become illegal, now they're just taxing it at a high rate and they're tripling their money on something they knew long before was gonna make them billions and trillions. That's my opinion of it. I mean, look at some of the byproducts of this. We're talking about obviously livestock food, livestock bedding, nutritional supplements, essential oils, foods, paper products, textiles, chanclas. You see the chancla? You got chairs. You got body care products used for
You said,
construction.
did you see the chocolate?
So
That's why Puerto Ricans are scared of it.
that's it. That's why. So it was
Wait, what?
in my opinion, it was a really well thought out plan to um to legalize this thing, knowing full well that they were gonna legalize it. It was a
You know, the
full scheduled plan.
the,
Well
the
done.
first Ford, the first Ford car, if I remember correctly, the body of the car was made by hemp.
Yeah, did you also get that did you get that link I sent you?
I also let me see. No, I didn't get a
Froze.
link. Yeah, hold on.
Put that up.
You could send links right off of. There's a chat box here. If you see that little arrow, that little comment box on the side of the of
Yeah,
the video
I have
window.
it open already.
Yeah,
I
you
got
have
it.
it open. Yeah. Okay, now I see it.
There you go.
You want me to
All right.
put that up?
Yeah.
Uh, Okay, let me share my screen. Hold on a second.
How come I don't see you,
Who, me?
Jose? Yeah,
I'm not
I can see
sure.
you.
I'm not sure why you don't see me, but I see
that's
you
fine.
guys.
That's fine. Just give me
And
a
it's definitely recording. Let me share this before whatever. So whatever you sent me is redirecting me to. Hold on, it's redirecting me to. I'll show you right now.
An article a white man wrote.
CBS News. Am I playing this?
Nah, I mean, if you want, I mean, there's a in the article, it's all about the guy who in the 1930s, put the ban on marijuana and his reasons for it, which were all credibly like incredibly just
Racist.
racist. It was, you know, just
That's this guy right
this
here.
was in yeah, this was before civil rights, before, you know, this was during a time where people
Ah,
were it was okay to be treated uncivilized. And this is I think he was like an FBI or something like that.
whatever, nigga. But right now, you're white and you got small weed, you're going to jail.
Of course, because we don't want see we say things like that. Like for example, like when slaves used used to do something that was out of order and another slave knew they were going to do it, they would say, yo, don't do that because I don't want to see you get beat. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's not wrong. It's I mean, it was nature for them to want to run away from the situation. You know what I'm saying? But the other slave did not want to see that person get beat, you
Yeah.
know? And a lot of the times we say things like, yo, you shouldn't be smoking that weed because we know we don't want to see each other behind bars. It's not necessarily because we think it's wrong. It's more like, we try to warn each other not to do it because we don't want to see each other get punished.
Yep.
And it's a natural, it's a passed down, slave mentality that we still have today.
Yo, but how is that a slave mentality?
Blacks in Puerto
It's
Rico.
just niggas looking out for each other. I got your back,
Right,
son.
but
I don't want you getting locked up.
that's what I'm trying to explain though, is that these are all conditioning. They conditioned us to think this way.
So are
I'm
you
not
saying
I'm
white
not
people
I'm
don't do
not saying
that?
you're wrong for warning me. Nah. I love you for warning me. You know what I'm saying? If anything. But I know for me it's like, you know, medicinally it helps me with my, attention deficit, and I don't even catch asthma anymore since I started smoking marijuana. I have not needed an asthma pump. You know what I'm saying? For years now, like over what is this now? Going on 27. That's 19 years. 18 years. I'm sorry, 18 years. I didn't need an asthma pump.
But you're saying the warning that we're warning each other is a slave mentality, right?
Well, not because of like, for example, like if we were warning each other because of, oh, I don't want you to go to hell, right? Let's say if we do it on a religious scale, right?
Yeah.
There was different kinds of warnings, like we would warn each other as human beings, like, yo, I want you to do good in life because I want to see you in heaven one day in the afterlife, or things like that, right? But when we're dealing with things now, we were conditioned because of that mentality. They utilize the fact that we are all inherently evil. So what they did was attach more laws onto us to make us, further criminals, because under the 13th Amendment, this is how they preserved slavery. Slavery is not in all reality abolished under the 13th Amendment. If you want to pull up, matter of fact, the 13th Amendment.
Give me
I'm
one
gonna,
second, because I feel like I understand your point in, and I relate back to the whole marijuana situation, because it was a conditioning, it was a well thought out plan. The government knew full well what they were going to do then and what they were going to do now, and their plan is still in motion and it's working. We have Jersey, who is going to be potentially the 11th state to have legalized recreational marijuana.
Right.
Um, and one of the only things, I don't know if I told you this, Noel, when we were talking about it earlier. One of the only things that they're that like the governor or somebody in power there. I think it's the governor that's saying he doesn't. He's for it. He's 100% for legalizing it. But one of the things that he's not with is that I think the sales tax is like 12 or 15%. He's looking for 25%, right? So the government is making crazy money off of this. And if you don't think they already have the factories that are producing the marijuana, they've already become the Miller Lite, the Bud, the Budweiser providers of all these little shops that are going to start popping up when each state decides to go and make it legal. You sent me that message through the same window, right?
But
Who's
wait,
No.
that?
hold on. But I kind of want to go back to what Mike was saying. He was saying that we're conditioned because of slavery to be like, hey, listen to what the master says because I don't want you to get in trouble, right?
Right.
You said 13th
So,
Amendment?
but the white people do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sending you right now.
You heard, Mike? The white people do the same thing. They say, don't do that. You're gonna get in trouble.
I mean, but understand the difference. It's like white people are more allowed in their neighborhoods to smoke weed. Like what's her name from Sex and the City? That lady who came out and said, it was always legal for whites to smoke weed. She said, we need to just legalize it for everybody.
Oh, you're talking about the lady that was running for governor here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, I forgot her name. Yeah, but in her advertisement video, she says, "Let's be honest, and I think I played that in an episode. Legalized marijuana has been um, uh, um, legal for white folks for years, and it's
Yeah.
isn't it only fair that the blacks and Latinos,
For everyone.
yeah, for everyone, yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's real cute to say, but the reality of the
Implying,
situation is if a white person gets caught with weed, he's also gonna get in trouble.
but you're saying it as though white people get in trouble. They're more prone to get in trouble.
No,
I,
I'm not saying that.
what I'm s-
Or
If they get
or
caught,
just
they're
as
also gonna get
likely
in
or
trouble.
just as likely to get in trouble.
I don't know who it
I'm not
was.
saying that either.
I don't.
I'm not saying that they're most just as likely. I'm just saying that if they get caught, they're getting in trouble as well.
But the thing is that
But that's
I'm not saying
the,
it's more likely, least likely.
the thing
I'm
they're
is,
just saying
least
that they're
likely
gonna get
to
in
get in
trouble.
trouble even when they get caught though. That's what this is all about. They're least likely to get in trouble for
Probably,
marijuana.
but they're still gonna get in trouble.
okay, here's what I'm saying. You go to Williamsburg, you got white niggas smoking up a storm, cops driving right by, no problem. Do that over here. Go ahead, I dare you. Do that here
Right.
where I'm at right now, or in Harlem, or in Wyckoff projects. You know what I mean? Go ahead, try. I promise you that's not gonna go down. But you can go to
But
Williamsburg's and white people just smoking down the street like it's a cigarette.
all right, now keep that same thought in your head. The white people are gonna get away with it. They're gonna walk. The cops are gonna drive right past it. Black people, the cops are gonna stop you. Okay.
Correct.
The reason why this happens is because the cops know if I frisk that white person, he's not gonna have no guns, no knives, nothing on him. But
What?
the majority of the time, when I stop the black people in the black area, they have that stuff.
They
And
don't
this is getting good
stop.
because I just want to show my reaction. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. That's right.
So
Yo, put up that
We know this
share
stuff. Nigga, I had the stuff on me. I know what I do in the neighborhood. I'm the one doing
that.
it. I know I do it.
Yo, then
I know
speak
that
for
I walk in
yourself,
the
not
block with the drugs in
for
my
your
pocket.
entire race.
Huh?
for your entire well, look, the
What I'm
reality.
saying is, wait, hold on. What I'm saying is that me walking down the block in my neighborhood with drugs in my pocket is not unique. Everybody does it. We all know we smoke weed. We all know we're getting away with doing drugs. We all know it.
All
So
right, look at
we can't say white people are getting away with it, but we're not. Because how many times have you smoked weed and got away with it? We do it all the time.
let me
So
ask you a question. Who were the slaves?
This nigga was the freaking slaves.
hold on. I just want to go back. I want to go back to Noel's point before we move over, and I just want to say that
I have a
if I was a cop,
yeah.
all right, if I was a cop and my district is Williamsburg, and I see a bunch of crackers smoking, even if they were a bunch of blacks or Latinos, I'm like, I'm good. I'm gonna keep going.
I
Uh,
like the way this guy talks.
but But if I was in the hood, knowing that there's gang association. So to me, now it's not about the marijuana. Now it's like I don't want to get shot. I'm trying to get home to my shorty, and you know what I'm saying. Now
Yeah,
it's
but
different.
think about it like this.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
what if
You're not the
you're a
Bronx.
black? What if you're a black cop, right? Walking through, let's say, Williamsburg, where you know there's a lot of KKK action going on.
What? In Williamsburg?
In Williamsburg.
In Williamsburg.
Nigga, they're all liberals over there.
I know they're liberals. I'm just saying hypothetically. Like if you knew that there's KKK action
But
in
don't talk,
Williamsburg.
don't use Williamsburg, yo. You're more likely to see KKK in Staten Island than Williamsburg.
For
Okay,
real.
Staten Island.
I'm
Let's say
gonna
let's
go
go
for
to
real
Staten
on that
Island.
one.
All right, let's say Staten Island. You're a black cop and you know that there's freaking KKK activity in these neighborhood in that neighborhood in Staten Island.
Yeah.
Let's say what's a good neighborhood to go with? Tottenville.
Tottenville, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's say in Tottenville there's KKK. Yeah, nigga, I used to live out in Staten Island. But let's say in Tottenville there's KKK activity heavily over there, right? As a black policeman, you know, would you go over there and feel safe?
They all going to jail. Let me
They
catch
all,
let me catch one of them doing
nah,
let me
yo,
catch one of those niggas smoking weed.
yo, you know how many, there were KKK leaders that say things like, we're your lawyers, we're your policemen, we're your doctors, we're all around you. You know what I'm saying? There's people, in other words, that are in this gang affiliate. Mind you, look at how big the KKK is. A lot of the people nowadays, we don't even think about it because it's not in front of our eyes. Because what they do, see, under the Second Amendment, right, we have the right to bear arms and be a part of a militia. But if you're a colored person, let's say a part of a militia with bearing arms, you're just a criminal, a part of a criminal organization. Meanwhile, if you're white, a part of the KKK with guns, you're a part of a well-organized, you know,
Militia?
whatever they decide to upstanding a militia, yeah.
No, but if you're not breaking the law, they can't arrest you. They can arrest you, but you're getting out the next morning. You know what I'm saying? If
Hey,
you haven't broken any laws.
you sound like the biggest coon I've ever heard in my life.
Are you telling me that they just arrest people for random stuff for no reason and they stay in jail?
Yeah.
Give me I gotta see proof. I don't know.
I can bring up stories right now that people were let out of jail 20 years later after realizing they were innocent, but they had no reason to even be behind bars.
But that's a different subject. You're talking about people,
and it's always, what?
You're talking about people getting convicted of crimes and then finding out later that they were innocent.
I'm talking about specifically. I'm talking about specifically blacks getting arrested for no reason.
So let me intervene. Let me intervene real quick, and I think that I don't know if you've seen this, Mike, but have you seen Making a Murder? Have you seen Making a Murder, Noel?
Yeah, I've watched the first season. I actually watching the second season now.
So that's a white guy, and watch the first season and then come back at us with that opinion, because he's a white guy and I still don't know if he did it or not, but you could definitely tell that the whole state was like, screw this guy, we're gonna get him. And the police department was like, did a crappy job in the murder investigation. It's incredibly biased, and to me it had nothing to do with the guy being black or white, because I mean he was definitely black.
I'm saying murder. I'm not saying there's nobody, you know, in the white community that will get arrested. You know, I'm not saying outlandish things like that, because we see people that are white in prison. You know, like Charles Manson, and you know, and other while Ted Bundy and all these other white murderers, serial killers. But look at let's say, for example, that kid that shot up the church. Look at the way
Yes.
he was handled.
Which kid?
The little white kid that walked into the church.
The
With
Baptist church, right?
Yep, he walked
The one
into
that
the
got
church. No, he didn't get shot.
Nah, he
He was
lived.
alive.
It happened
He
a few
lived.
times. There's a few of them.
It did happen a few times, but I don't know the exact kid's name. But in the court, he had like no remorse for what he did. Like he was a stone cold dead face. But
He's probably psychopath, yo.
But let me show you guys something real quick, if you guys don't mind. I was gonna show you this.
I mind.
You always mind, except your business. So this I was gonna show you this, Noel. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but
I saw this
The
already.
NYPD.
you saw this.
Yeah.
Just for pot.
Yeah.
Nah, it's worse. It's not just pot, yo. It's way worse.
Yeah, this is way worse. And these are two cats in Staten Island. They were inevitably advised to get lawyers because the black guy. First of all, they arrested all four of them, I believe, and the black guy stood in jail for 10 days, for something that he obviously didn't do. Now, this is before Mario Cuomo lightened the whole entire possession of marijuana. You could have up to an ounce on you.
That's a lot.
That is a lot, and you can also and and you can basically except for someone who is in active probation or parole, and for people who have criminal records, it'll present itself as a legit problem. Let's go back because I don't want to leave circle open holes. What happened with the amendment that you had me look up, bro? You got me over here working
Okay.
full time. I'm a
I
guy.
got an amendment I want you to look at, right? But I want you to share this this image right here. This is an important image. It shows the way cops celebrate a weed bust.
Yeah. All right. Let's get that weed, baby.
Jesus Christ. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's gonna be in my history. Alright.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yo, look up the 13th Amendment, Article 1.
Yeah, Section 1. It was up there right before. The one that you just had up. All right, so look at what it says right here. Right, so again, Noel, who were the slaves?
Oh, my t-shirts are here.
No, nigga, don't change the conversation.
He's avoiding it. Neither.
Hold on, I gotta check the shirts, yo.
Go ahead, take it. I'll read it out loud.
We need
But I
to build
gotta
the
make sure
wall.
it's the freaking white the right. If it's a black guy, I'm running.
Oh damn.
Or he's. Let me not say that. Let me not say that.
So anyway, just keep going until he gets out the van. I don't know if that's actually me.
That's not you,
Alright, so
son.
look.
He's gonna rob your shop. All right. So Section 1. Neither slavery nor individual servitude, except as
Involuntary servitude, except as
involuntary.
punishment
Yeah.
except as a punishment for a crime whereof. So look, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any other place subject to their jurisdiction. So, you see, this
Do one
was
box? Just one? That's for real? Yeah. Brooklyn first, right?
Huh? Right here, 116.
Yeah, 116. Yeah, I'll take it. For Brooklyn first, right? Let me see the name.
So over here it dumbs it down. It says the 13th Amendment was an amendment in the United States Constitution, meaning that it was a change to the basic and most important laws that govern the United States. It abolished slavery in the United States.
abolished slavery in the United States. It didn't abolish slavery, it actually preserved slavery.
How?
Well, it
Yo, my
says
bad.
neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, right? Except as a punishment for a crime whereof. This is why we have more prisons than we do colleges. this is why we, have, pointless laws like, marijuana being, having a prohibition against marijuana. It was to create more slaves and through the prison system. The prisons are the biggest slave houses now. It's where a lot of the working in Kmart. I learned back when I like a while back when I used to work out in Kmart. I learned that they used to buy the Levi jeans.
Yeah.
That were actually made by prisoners. Free labor in the prisons going on. Sweatshops and all sorts of different crazy things going on behind bars.
I wouldn't suggest that those things didn't happen, but when I read this amendment, I read that whether you were a slave or your ass was just serving someone out of your own, whatever. And then the second part, after the comma is, except if you did a crime, where where the parties, the individual is convicted of the crime. So not only if you did the crime, but if you're convicted of a crime, um, shall exist within the United States or a place subject to their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. So wait, just because we have
It
this
still
conversation before.
exists. It still exists. Slavery is here. It never left.
Yeah, that's fine and all dandy, but it's not race based.
Bro, that was the point.
It's not based by race. It doesn't say black, white, Chinese. It doesn't say none of that. It just says if you go to jail, we're gonna use your labor.
Have you ever heard of the Southerners, Jose, that actually were on the wrong side of history? Let's say they weren't a part of the Union. They were Confederates, right? And down south, what they decided to do was what they call whitewash things. They decided to take things out that were, that would make them look bad, and then they would make themselves sound better in that part of history, so that niggas like Noel will think that they're okay. They're white is right.
But I'm not saying that. You're putting words in my mouth. I'm not saying white is right. You're saying
you said that you believe people of color are the only ones committing the crimes.
Now, what you said? Say it again. What did I say?
You said you believe that people of color are the ones mostly committing the crimes. You said
there's more white people in jail than any minority.
Well, because we got to consider the fact that blacks only make up 14% of the U.S. population.
I know, but the problem is 14% commits 50% of murders. Think about that. Only 14% of the population make 50% of the murders.
No.
Look that up, Jose. Show it on screen.
50% of the prison is not black.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying within the 14%, the population, 14%, 50% of the overall murders of America is committed by that tiny 14% of the population.
Murders?
Look it up. Yeah.
What?
Look it up.
No.
Bro. Okay, here we go, guys. Here we go, ladies. Oh man, I feel like the.
Remember, a lot of this is just gang violence that we see all the time, every day. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it is just that.
All right, here we go, ladies. Hold on.
U.S. Bureau
Wait, leave that. Don't take that off. Leave that. I want to see it.
Statistics. In 2013, black males accounted for 37% of the total male prison population, white males 32%, and Hispanic males 22%. So my people ain't the ones committing murder. See, look at that. Look at what you were saying about your Hispanics.
Well, this is
males comprise 49% of the prison's population. All right,
That's insane.
white.
That is insane.
That is
Yeah.
insane, bro. That's a big
White
number.
white women are the problem. That's what it looks like to me.
That's what it looks like to me. Damn, we're gonna start up a whole other thing, yo. All right, over here we have some more statistics of inmate race. This
White.
study was taken, I believe, in 2018, except October. So this is pretty relevant and easy.
Look at how good we've been as niggas.
First of all, ain't no Spanish.
Ain't no Spanish in there. We got no sofrito in this statistic.
Native
This is
American
bias.
is technically, not Spanish, but we've derived from them as Puerto Ricans.
Look, it says race, ethnicity. Let's look at that ethnicity. Here we go. Of course.
Yo, look up
Look,
murder.
do you see that? Non-Hispanic, Hispanic.
I'm gonna take
Yo,
you guys.
look up murder.
Look up murder. Yo,
Hold
Noel.
on, right there.
Yeah.
You gotta
Insurance counterfeit, embezzlement.
Come
What
on,
is that?
man.
Go up top. What is this, male?
Why are you really trying to put down the black man?
These are general statistics by offenses.
Ooh.
What are you looking at? What is this? Black male, white male?
This is all people based on offenses. Number of inmates, percentage of inmates.
Oh, that's just all of them together
Yeah, this is offenses. This is listed by offensive. Now you want to look by what?
by race.
I already looked at race. Race is here, but that's the only information to give you. It's basically saying that the whites, by far, constitute most of the inmates currently. And this is a study shown not by WikiLeaks, but by somebody. Statistics by the Federal Bureau of Prisons.
FBI, nigga.
That 58%, which is amounting to 105,000 inmates. Now, Noel, you're saying that out of the 38% of blacks, you're saying what?
That they commit about 50% of murders. Prison population by race, murders.
If you guys can find it, it would be nice.
And if you don't find it, it don't exist.
Ah!
The
They
gap.
ain't kill nobody. Yo, but Mike, look, you saw that more white people in jail than black people. So you can't say the cops ignore white people committing crimes.
No, what I'm saying is this: is that we're talking about you're comparing a low population of people compared to the majority population of the U.S.
But when but the black population is only 14%.
Yeah,
Why is the
and
prison population 39%?
well, because what happened was at this time when they abolished the they supposedly abolished and they preserved it through the 13th Amendment, not stating using color or anything like that, was because there was a lot of poor whites. There was a lot of poor whites that the rich whites, there was nothing worse than it was said back in the day that there was nothing worse than a poor white except for a black man.
Okay.
The black man was purposely put there for a while for the poor whites to look down on. But when
you think they brought black people here so poor white people can look down on them?
Bro, I have no reason for I'm not gonna give reasons for anything these white people did. You know what I'm saying? Like, for why they brought slaves over here. I'm not saying that that's why they brought slaves over here. I'm saying
they clearly brought slaves over here for slavery.
Yeah, for making themselves, rich.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily. What I'm saying is that at a certain time in history, there were poor whites that, that would look down on blacks, and rich whites would say there's nothing worse than a poor white than a black.
But what does that have to do with what we're talking about?
That's just what was said in history. Well, what that has to do with what we're talking about is rich whites later on, they became intolerable of poor whites and made slaves out of them in today's society. Those
So,
are, yeah.
so you're saying that the rich whites make the laws to also oppress the poor whites?
Yeah.
So wait, are you saying that also the laws are meant to hold down the rich blacks?
No, understand something. We have also the prison system. In the prison system, who we see is clearly the majority of the prison population.
Whites.
White
You just
people.
saw it was white, right? So now in the prison, we have a system where people of color are being ruled by a white majority.
But that's not
As,
necessarily true. It depends. I think it goes from prison to prison.
bro,
Some prisons are run
I'm
by the
talking about
minorities, some are run by the whites. Depends on the area
I'm
you
talking
live.
about prison, not Rikers Island. I'm talking about upstate. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
but
saying?
it depends on where you live, right? So if there's more minorities that are in jail, they're more likely to run the prison.
But jail and prison are two different things. The people that are in prison, the majority are white.
Okay, but what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with slavery?
Systematically, if you do the math and recognize, okay, this is actually a poor white man's job is to make sure people of color in prison stay in line.
Are you saying that's what they're meant to do? They're made to do
That's
that?
while they're there, yeah.
Are you about to go on some Illuminati stuff right now?
I will actually.
It sounds like you're about to go down a rabbit hole.
It's about to go down.
Yeah.
There is a rabbit hole. We can't ignore it. I mean, let's be for real. We cannot ignore it. We
Wait,
know
hold on. Just to go back to what you were saying before. Are the laws set up to lock down minorities? Yes or no?
Are the laws set up to yeah,
Are
completely.
are they set up to lock down rich minorities?
Rich minorities, poor minority. A minority is a minority. We could see that. Let's say look at what's his name? No matter who you are,
OJ.
being OJ.
OJ got out. All right. He had the money. He got out.
Technically, he was found innocent. Okay,
Uh-huh. Exactly.
so that's that.
That's
That's the
because he had
law.
money. It didn't
But
matter
look
what
at how
color his
much
skin was.
but look at how much they put him through.
I mean,
Look
white
at
people
how
got the
much they
same
put
thing.
Michael Jackson through.
Yeah, but
He
tell
had money.
that to the rest of these people. Tell that to the rest of these people when I look at these numbers here. Tell that to these lovely folks here that I was just looking up. Tell that to all of these people.
This
Tell
nigga
that to
pulled up a line graph.
So it says here the CDC confirms that the following is an extended period of general decline in the overall homicide rate as well as the homicide rates within each year in racial groups has increased from 2014 to 15, and the 2015 homicide rates were per the 100,000 population 20.9 for blacks, so we're looking at 4.9 for Hispanics, 2.6 for whites, right? So 260,000 for whites for the year of 2015. We're talking
All races combined, we see that.
in
So,
the
but
top line.
white, do you see how they keep the numbers low? How are those numbers so low, and yet they make up the majority of the prison system?
Because they're probably getting arrested for non-murders, probably other things.
Look at where the blacks are. They're the blacks are so high above. You could fit so many more lines in between.
And remember, this is per capita. This is 100,000 per capita.
Well, understand too that we're dealing with a system that, you know, puts the guns in these people's hands.
So are you saying we can't
Look.
trust them with guns?
Here we go. This is in November 2014. Noel, listen to that.
Guns
Read
into
that.
the hands of people that are below the poverty line, that are, they're systematically placed below the poverty line, systematically placed into, like, in New York. You know what they have? They have zoning schools, right? Remember, you couldn't go to a school unless it was in your zone.
Yeah.
When I got in the cafeteria, they already called to line up, and I didn't have time to get
Oh boy, did you eat lunch?
I
Okay, let's go grab some.
was like, is
Okay,
he
guys,
playing
I
a
gotta go
video?
get some lunch.
He's
Nah.
like, hold on, baby. We're talking
Well,
about
dinner
murder in
now.
the black
It's
community.
dinner. Yeah, hold on. We're discussing this lunch. Like
No, but wait, hold on. Just to go back to what you were saying before, are you saying that we can't trust minorities with guns?
we gotta have. No, that's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, see, what they do systematically is what triggers a lot of this self-hate, in the black and Spanish communities, and but mostly black communities.
Yo, Jose's dying. Yo,
he's over there, look, catching
this
us.
nigga's dying.
But like that's what that's what we see, in like in the hood, let's say, like in hoods. Like I was, looking at, from my perspective, living in Gowanus, growing up there.
Blah, 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 blah.
You know what I'm saying? Gowanus PJs. Shout out. Nah, it's I know, baby love.
Yo, has Noel put you on to Larry Sharp?
He don't like it.
No.
Yo, Jose's dying. Look at Jose, everybody. Jose's about to die. I'm by myself, yo. This is my show.
So yeah, my bad. Okay. So yeah, see, like, there's rich kids. I'm telling you. See, this is what happens when you give rich kids. Nah, I'm just kidding. You give kids money. Nah,
They say that I was looking at a video, one of these YouTube videos that was doing some sort of an analysis of what males would look like, 20 years from now, and with technology and people being able to travel the world, in a matter of hours, um, that
Yo,
eventually,
I gotta go.
eventually the race is going to be so mixed that racism would eventually wean itself out.
I'm gonna try to keep this call on though.
right, and that's what's happening. Is what I'm basically saying. Like, historically, is that's what we're seeing. Is historically we're seeing, people realizing,
I might cut off.
we're realizing these things. We're realizing that race is becoming, a thing of the past. Racism is becoming a thing of the past, especially with all these young white kids that are learning this history
The
for
wrong way.
themselves.
They're learning it the wrong way, and more importantly, what they're not being told, which is my argument to anyone and everyone, is that we'll never forget, and that's the point of passing along the history of our peoples, or your peoples. We'll never forget, and that's the point of teaching our history. We'll never forget, but we can't keep this as a forum to hinder us from achieving the freedoms that our ancestors fought for.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we
Enough of the
understand that the past
excuse.
is hard, but we can't let it hold us back.
enough
Right.
of enough of
That's not at all what I'm saying. Like, as far as it's not holding us back. In other words, this is what's propelling us forward. You understand? Because we don't want to go back there. Especially even on the like, on the white end. A lot of whites are also realizing that slavery was terribly wrong as well. We had good sides on the, mind you, we had the Confederates, but we also had the Union, and they were fighting. They
Are
were
you saying there's
fighting
good
each
white people
other.
out there?
Yeah, there is.
I think that I would disagree. I would disagree based on the
You don't believe
riots.
there's good ones?
No, 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 I
Jose,
do.
Jose doesn't believe that there's good white people. That's crazy.
I know.
No,
Can
I
I
would
see my
say
snake?
okay. What I'm saying is that I think that a vast majority of the millennials that are coming out now are using history as a form of I don't have to do anything because I was my people were neglected and abused. I don't have to do anything.
You ever watch Planet of the Apes? We're like Caesar. No.
Mike just called black people
No.
Caesar.
um,
Yo, but anyway, so wait, hold on. Let me say my thing.
People that
Um,
used to be slaves.
I think that right now we're dealing with less of a problem with race and more of a problem of culture, right? So there right now we're dealing with a hip hop community culture that glorifies violence
He's
and
like the whole
glorifies,
hippie
breaking the law,
hoppers
you
and
know,
they're
and I think it doesn't matter race. It doesn't matter what race you are. If this is your culture, that's what you're gonna tend to act like. You're gonna act like it's okay to run up on somebody and rob them or whatever, f the police and all that. And I think that's the main problem.
so you're saying that hip hop is responsible for all of this? Hip hop and rap.
Yeah, I can say that hip hop has a huge price.
hip hop is the reason why they enslaved us.
What? No, we had slavery way before hip hop. So hip hop started off as a good thing, right? We're like, fight the
Hip
power and stuff
hop,
like this.
hippity hip hop, and hip hop, right? It
Yeah.
was a
And
beaty thing.
somewhere down the line, we took hip hop from being a thing that's to help us as a community, and we turned it into ourselves. Say F you, and I'm gonna take your girl, and I'm gonna kill you, and all that. That's all you hear with hip hop now. In fact, nowadays it's even worse because nowadays they're talking about getting high on all these pills and stuff. Now it's even worse.
Sit down and eat.
So wait, so hip hop, you're saying has a big part to play in the current state of cultures, race.
Well, not necessarily race. It doesn't matter what race you are. If this is the culture that you
Are
put
raised
yourself
in,
into,
right?
you're gonna act like this. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter what race, what color your skin is. I see white people act like this and Chinese people act crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Wilding
I know
out.
what it's like. Yeah, while around in the hood. You know what I'm saying?
So why did you say you would cross? So you think it's only in the hoods that are doing the most crime?
No, absolutely not. I mean, when you're talking about trailer park people are the same sort of mentality. That poor. Remember that the way that people talk in the trailer parks are the same type of way we talk in the hood. It's all the same type of person. It's just different location.
Right,
You know what I'm
different
saying?
speech,
That
different slang, different
yeah.
accents.
So
But
like for instance, the same way the hood talk about I'm gonna kill you and your girl, whatever, the same way the freaking insane clown posse does it with the white people. The white the trailer park people. They listen to that stuff. It's the same mentality. It's just a cultural thing. You know what I'm saying? And if you're a black man that grows up in a trailer park, you're more likely to lean towards this, type of mentality, this type of music. The same way if you're a white person that grows up in the projects, you're more likely to listen to the hip hop and act that way.
So there are black insane clown posse fans. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah. When I was in Albany, that's all they had up there, yo. They love that type of
he
stuff.
loved
I don't
those
know why.
people. What?
I don't know why they would listen to that stuff. You ever heard Insane Clown Posse?
No.
It's like a cancer. It's the worst type of music there is.
What?
It's horrible. Insane Clown Posse?
You guys like my beautiful home?
I love it. Very white of you.
You gotta shut up so I can see it.
Oh.
No, not you, him.
No. It's my home, guys.
It's
Welcome.
nice, bro.
What is that? A 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom? It's a whole house?
It's a whole house. Yeah. Three
How many
bedrooms.
how many shades of Puerto Rican did you have to give up for that?
Let me tell you how many whites I had to Nas. Let's start with that one.
Yeah, so I think it's less of a race thing and more of a culture thing. Don't get me wrong, I think race plays an issue with it. You know what I'm saying? I really do believe that because I see it around me all the time. But I also see that culture I think is the main driving force. You know what I'm saying? With the it's more of a culture thing, right? Because if you go to Park Slope, they don't really listen to that kind of music. So they don't act like that. And we're talking about white people, black people, Chinese people that live there, these yuppies, they don't fit into that culture. So they don't act like that,
Yeah.
And I think it's more of a culture thing. And I think that we're doing it to ourselves by making this music and by paying to listen to this music.
You sound like an
I think that
old
we're
man.
fighting that culture.
I remember hearing that when I was younger. Like these old men, I never want to be like an old man like that, a grouch complaining about the music, that it's the music's fault.
Well,
But now when
I'm not
you
saying that the
really
music is bad. I listen to the music. I'm just saying
a
that the
hypocrite, we
message
got a
behind
hypocrite
the
in aisle
music.
3, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
No, no, that's the problem. This is what I was telling you before, that we got to make an episode about nuance. That we have a death of nuance in our culture.
Aren't
That
you?
nobody wants to dive into it and cut it up.
Aren't you
The
like a?
music, I like the music. Don't get me wrong. I like the beat. I like all that stuff. But the message behind the music is what's killing us as a people.
Yeah, I've liked the instrumentals of the music well put together, but the stuff that's coming out of these people's faces is just like, why? That's why I stay
And that's what I'm
true.
saying. It's
I
the
stay
message.
true. I stay true to like Nas. You know what I'm saying? Tupac. When it comes to the message that they were coming from their own personal experiences of what they were going through, and instead of I have 1,000 cars and Bentleys and women's twerking all over the place. It's how many
Did you
times do
listen
you
to
have?
this? I listen to Drake right now. I listen to what's his name, Scott, whatever his name is. I listen to these people. You know what I'm saying? I like the music,
Because the beat
but
is
the
good,
message
right?
is killing our people.
The beat is good, but the
The
message
beat
is
is
like you're
good.
not
The
really.
flow is nice. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? But the thing that they're saying is the kids are listening to this stuff and they think that's the way they need to act.
Yep.
And I can prove to you that this is right because in London, in Britain, years ago, before hip hop got there, things were different. The projects were a different place. The projects was just a poor community. Nobody had like crazy violence. And then when hip hop drove in there, it changed the whole dynamic of the area.
It
All of a sudden,
defined
everything
a
was up.
culture based on what they were hearing.
Yeah.
Before hip hop, before hip hop, let's look at what's that movie called? Blades, chains, baseball bats,
You talking about
Warriors.
Warriors? The Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, Warriors. Pre hip hop. You telling me they weren't fighting back then?
Yo, the Warriors is fake, nigga. That's not real. That's like a
Bro,
fiction.
my dad is
It wasn't
pre
a
hip hop.
documentary.
My dad is
Yeah,
pre hip. My grandfather was a Mau Mau.
yeah. A
That
Mau
nigga was
Mau.
a Mau. You know what the Mau Maus are? You ever heard of a
Yeah,
Mau Mau?
yeah, but I understand that they had different crews and stuff. Don't get me wrong. Everybody had their little gang and stuff. But I'm saying that the main driving
Pre hip
force
hop.
is this culture. This has taken minorities to a whole nother level.
So you blaming it on the culture and not the system that, you know, like mind you, when slavery was abolished, slaves were freed, and mind you, they weren't given any land, they weren't given any money to support their families. So that's not the reason
No, no, no.
for
And this is why I think we're talking past each other, because I'm not saying it's this or that. I'm saying it's all these things combined. And the problem is that us as a people, we don't want to look into ourselves and fix ourselves. We want to point at somebody else and say it's your fault.
That's an issue, and it crosses broad spectrums of topics, right? It's something that we know, right? The older you are, the more set you are in your ways, right? It's easier for a child to learn a new language than it is for you or I or someone who's older. So and the more confident we become in our own view of what life is, yeah, we're less likely to do a self reality check on where our perspectives lie. And that's
Yeah,
what
people
leads
don't.
me more to a libertarian mindset, because I feel that the libertarian mindset says, you know what, hold on a second. I got to take off my own hat and re-look at this whole entire situation before I could open my mouth and speak. Right? When we were younger, we acted on impulse. Noel, we just did an episode. We were talking about abortion, and you said something specific. You got with your ex and you went with it because you had her and you just went with it. You were
Yeah.
thinking with your frontal lobe instead of thinking, hold on a second. It's now that you realize, what? It's worth waiting. It's worth investing into someone else to have a relationship that lasts. I think that As you get older, you're set more in your ways. You're less likely to put the mirror up and do a self evaluation check on your views and your points. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that I think this is what we lack in our culture, and within our own culture. I'm not going to speak for any other culture. I'm just speaking for ourselves that we lack a self-examination, and we also lack a nuanced approach when it comes to looking at things. Sometimes we're to blame, and that's for sure. Sometimes it's somebody else to blame, and sometimes it's a mix of both. Right? Sometimes I commit the crimes. Sometimes my people commit crimes, and sometimes the cops are racist and they look at us like we're criminals. But
Don't
also,
tell the people what they want to hear.
but
Don't tell
also,
the
we
people.
we committed the crimes, right? We committed the crime. That's why they look at us like we're
Oh,
criminals because
nigga,
we've
I
done
got a
it.
squeaky clean record. I never committed.
Yeah, but you know what? The majority of people that live in the projects don't have a squeaky clean record. So when the cops go there, they're going over there looking like, yo, all these people are here, all criminals, and that's the problem.
That's not
We
necessarily. That's not necessarily. I mean, I don't
wait,
think
wait,
it's
listen. We
necessary.
commit the crimes, we commit the problems, and the cops look at us like we're the ones because we've done it.
Crime. Now, are
The
these
Mexicans,
non-violent
when you go there, be
crimes
careful, they're
or
criminals.
violent crimes?
That what?
So I think if it's a violent crime, they're not allowed to
It
live in the
doesn't matter.
projects.
It doesn't matter, bro. I mean, if you commit a felony, you're not allowed to live in the projects. I don't think so.
No, I
Right?
violent. I don't think
It
violent
doesn't
crimes.
matter. I mean, I could have committed a crime right now,
Yeah,
today, a federal offense. I could come out
I
and
know
I could live
mad
in the
felons in
projects
the
because I go
projects.
live with grandma.
I know
You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
So
I was gonna say I know mad felons in the projects.
that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so imagine the police when they go there. They know what's up. They know people got committed felonies and all that live there. They know that. So they're gonna go there with their head every time they go to the project, thinking like, yo, people in there commit crimes. Be careful.
So let me ask you a question, Michael. You have you put yourself in the perspective of an officer, right? You have a job now? I'm assuming, right? You take care of your family. If your job had even the slightest possibility that you're not coming home to your family, how serious would you take that job in defending yourself?
Now I'll explain. I drive Uber. It's like being a police officer. Let me tell you something. I dealt with some crazy stuff on the road, man. Look, the way I handle it is like this. See, personally, I'm ready to defend myself when I feel like I need to defend myself, you know? But honestly,
Mm,
I've never been in a position
my bad.
where I couldn't find the good in a person. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
Yeah,
good in all of
cops,
us.
when police approach a situation, they don't have that luxury. They have to go in there on level 10.
Bro, I'm not
When
sitting
they
there
get
like,
called
oh
in,
man, he's got his hands in his pocket. I can't drive him anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Nah, bro. I'm sitting there like I'm trusting and faithing in the situation because you know what? I prayed. There's nothing I could do. There's nothing I could do if somebody was to kill me.
Yo, put your mic on mute if
yeah,
you're
but
gonna be with all that noise.
yeah, but police can. They can do something.
Bro, nobody's out trying to kill the police. The
Yes,
police,
they are. People have already done it.
people
Okay,
have done it,
I
but
I
there's
would.
more people, more police killing people
Cops
than
die
people
every
are
day,
killing.
probably.
There's
That
more
what?
people killing. There's more people that are being killed by police than are killing police.
So okay, well,
So
I would intervene and say
yeah, but
that the difference between an Uber situation and a
that
police officer
doesn't
situation.
mean anything. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa, he sounded mad slow
That
mo.
doesn't mean
That's
anything.
that sprint right there, yo. Sprinting right over.
Hey, that's why I'm using my computer, not my split phone.
Um, No, what I would say is that the difference between you going to the difference between you as an Uber driver is that they're similar in the sense that you're dealing with the public, but the officer's stopping the officer's stopping someone because he sees something suspicious, right? The good officer, right? Let's say the good officer, right? Because those two
Yeah, not
officers
only
we
that.
just saw are not the good
Not only
officers we're
that.
referring
The,
to. So they're going
sometimes the
into
police are
situations.
called specifically to situations.
Right, they're going to a situation, domestic violence. They're going in there like I gotta intervene. And this dude may be crazy. She may be crazy. Yo, did you hear about the woman in Brooklyn who called the cops? She got into a fight with her boyfriend or fiance. This guy was like, "Yo, I'm out. She wildin', I'm out." He left. Then she calls the cops because she hears that there's somebody trying to break into her apartment. She calls the
Oh, I heard
cops.
about this.
The cops show up. Like, okay, let's investigate. She's in the kitchen. Then she grabs a knife and lunges at them. The police officers had to shoot her, take her down. I mean, I want to go home to my son and my kid. I want to go home. You know what I mean? I got called on a situation. Next thing I know, the person that called is trying to kill me.
Yeah.
man.
What I was supposed to explain to Noel, right? Remember that book I showed you, the Carry Conceal textbook?
Yeah.
Is that a
When I was
cat?
doing it- Yeah, I know. Who has a cat? That was easy. Noel. So
That's my cat.
that's why you're on that side of thinking. He needs a dog.
I'm a cat nigga.
I'm a cat nigga. Oh my god. We're gonna lose all the cat niggas now that watched our show. Or potentially will watch our show.
Hey, we might get
Nah, I got no
views.
cat.
We might get views. Yo, but like when I took the CCW classes out here, which is the Carry Conceal Weapon License classes, they explained that New York and California and Chicago are very Nazi states. They give their police officers too much power and the people too little power.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why
agree.
you think if you moved out here to Ohio for like 2 years, tops, your thinking would be more free than living in New York.
What are you saying?
Are you
Be-
are you home, Noel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why your internet sucks.
No, but what are you saying more free? Give me an example of a free thought that we don't
A
have.
free thought. Like I can like let's say for example, I leave my gun in my car by mistake, right? Police officer pulls me over, you know, I'm not worried I have a gun in my car. Or let's say if he asks me if I have any weapons, and I say, yeah, I have a gun in my glove compartment here, right? It's like, oh, okay. Like the officer's very nonchalant about it. It's not like it's taboo. It's not.
Yeah, but if I had a legal gun in New York, I'd feel the same way.
If you had a legal gun in New York,
Yeah, I'd
you'd
feel the same way. I'm like, yeah, I got a gun in the glove compartment. Check me.
Bro, I've had an illegal penis in New York. And I was afraid to use that thing.
See, because you're saying that we would think more freely, but I think that we are thinking more freely. We're thinking independently for ourselves. We're not
Yeah.
letting some social justice thing drive our mentality. Man, that's what they want us to believe. They want us to think that way. They want us to think the social justice way, which I don't think like that. I think that everybody is to blame. Everybody.
Right.
But I can't change the way you think. I can only change the way I think and I behave. So I focus it into myself. And I say, we need to fix ourselves.
And I'm trying to sing you the follow the drinking gourd out here to Ohio to free yourselves from that slavery in New York. God bless you and good night.
Sounds like a presidential speech.
Yo, actually, I gotta go. I gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go too. My girl's ringing my phone off the hook. Nah. I love you guys. For real.
Love you too, bro. We gotta do this again soon.
We definitely will.
Take care, man.
All right, bro.
All right, bro.
Peace.
Jose.
Yo.
Oh, there you go.
Yo, so yeah, that was it. Another episode of The Basement. Check us out. And what's our website?
thebasementny.com.
That's it. Peace.
Peace.
Later.